There we go. Yeah, I think that'll work. Hey folks, it's Damon DiMarco here for CreateX3.com, and in today's video we are going to be comparing three different types of Olivetti typewriters: the Olivetti Lettera 22, the Olivetti Lettera 32, and the Olivetti Studio 44. Which typewriter is the right typewriter for you? What I'm going to do is present the different typewriters to you so that you can get an idea of what their differences are, what their similarities are, and then in the end, only you can be the judge. So let's get started. The first thing you need to know is that any of these typewriters, any single one of them, is going to do you just fine. Olivetti is a fantastic brand. They made, in their day, obviously, some of the best typewriters known to the world. You can see all three of them here. They're lined up. We have the Olivetti Lettera 22 on the left. That is the first model that was made. Olivetti followed that up in the early 1960s. I believe it was 1963, with the Olivetti Lettera 32. And finally, in the later 60s, they came out with what they called the Olivetti Studio 44. They were lightweight, compact, very efficient. They were workhorses. Even the Lettera 22 and the Lettera 32, despite the fact that they were considered ultra-portables, were workhorses. The Olivetti Lettera 22 was first produced in 1950. Dimension-wise, it's about 10.5 inches by about 14.5 inches by about 3 inches tall. So very, very lightweight. 8 pounds back in the day qualified it for an ultra-portable. However, it still had the full functionality of a portable typewriter, by which I mean it had tabulation settings, and it had a ribbon select mechanism, and it just had the overall feel of a portable typewriter. Note the Italian design. It's really, really lovely. The thing looks like a car. As a matter of fact, you can see that it is has an entirely molded steel frame. The person who designed it, Marcello Nizzoli, had previously designed the standard Lexicon 80 typewriter at Olivetti. Take a look at the contrast between the two machines. The Lettera 22 was incredibly lightweight, was incredibly nimble, as opposed to the standard Lexicon 80. It's kind of like a Ferrari when you look at it. It's gorgeous. It's sleek, it's elegant, it has these lovely lines to it. You really kind of want to work on it. It's not just a machine for work, it is also a statement. It is a piece of art. In fact, Nizzoli borrowed a lot of his design ideas from the automotive industry, which in the 1950s was at its heyday. He particularly applied the science and practice of press-forming steel to the manufacture of typewriters. All of a sudden, this machine has these really lovely monocoque lines, very, very smooth. It's incredibly elegant, not just to look at, but also to work on. In 1959, the Illinois Institute of Technology chose the Olivetti Lettera 22 as the best design product of the last 100 years. It was also awarded the Compasso d'Oro Prize in 1954. Again, the Lettera 22 satisfies the weight requirements of an ultra-portable typewriter, weighing it at 8.2 pounds. It's very light for a full-featured ultra-portable machine. The lovely thing about it is that you can fit an Olivetti Lettera 22 anywhere. You can put it on a desktop, you can slide it away into a cubby hole, you can put it back into its case, you can travel with it. It's just a magnificent machine. I have always recommended the Lettera 22 to anyone who wants an excellent typewriter. You want to find one that's in very, very good shape. You want to find one that has an excellent carrying case as well. The one that I bought here, I bought it for a song. It was in bad shape. I fixed it up. If you've seen any of the rest of my videos, you know that that's something that I do. If you can, find one that has been serviced by a typewriter technician, find one with a working case, and have a lot of fun with it. Here is a sample of the typeface on my Olivetti Lettera 22. It is a very unusual typeface. It is not pica, it is not elite, it is somewhere between the two. I've heard it called an imperial font, I've heard it called a Victoria font. You can see it is rather unusual. It's delicate but strong, bold but at the same time fancy. It's one of my favorite fonts, and you don't find it anywhere but on the Olivetti Lettera 22. The downside on Lettera 22s and Lettera 32s, which we're about to cover, when you find a case for these machines, typically the zip zipper has rotted away. So you'll either have to take it to somebody who is skilled at putting zippers back onto this type of case. It's kind of like a faux leather thing, or somebody who can jerry-rig it for you. But in almost every case that I've ever seen, what happens is the zipper on the case is not in very good shape. So specify that when you're buying something. Ask them if the zipper is intact. Make sure the interior hasn't dry rotted out, that sort of thing. But again, the Lettera 22, you're absolutely not going to go wrong with it. Now let's move on to the Lettera 32, which was introduced in 1963. This was approximately the same time, shortly before, the Olivetti company merged with the Underwood Typewriter Company. So in 1963, what they were trying to do is modernize the Olivetti Lettera 22, and you can see that the Lettera 32 has less rounded lines, squared off, a little bit more futuristic looking for 1963, square keys, the square space leading for the hood. It's a little bit more futuristic looking. Essentially, however, it's pretty much the same typewriter. This one here, you can see, was made in Olivetti's Spanish factory, which I believe was in Barcelona. By that point, Olivetti had farmed out a lot of their fabrication work, their manufacturing work, to places like Scotland, and there was a factory in Mexico, there was one in Spain. For many, many years, I had heard it said that the best typewriters that Olivetti manufactured could always be found from the factory that came from Ivrea, Italy, like this one here. But then I bumped into Jay Schweitzer at Gramercy Typewriter here in New York City, and he said, nope. Plenty of those machines, especially the ones in Spain and Mexico, are just as good as the ones that they manufactured in Italy. Apparently what the Olivetti company did is they outsourced a lot of their people from Italy to go abroad and set up factories there, so the standards were one and the same. Here's a typing sample from my Olivetti Lettera 32. It is in pica type. As you can see on this machine, I have a Spanish keyboard, which is awesome because I have access to a number of diacritics that I'm not going to get access to on a number of other typewriters. I do a little bit about that in my video that talks all about dead keys on a typewriter and the function that dead keys perform. You might want to check that out. But basically, it is a very robust, very squared off kind of pica font, which I'm very, very happy with. Bottom line, you're not going to go wrong with an Olivetti Lettera 22 or an Olivetti Lettera 32. But now let's get to the Olivetti Studio 44. First produced in 1965, the Olivetti Studio 44 was meant to provide a heftier alternative to the comparatively lightweight 32 and 22. I'm going to quote to you directly from a brochure that Olivetti put out for the Studio 44. When the performance of a standard typewriter, meaning a desktop typewriter in today's language, is required in the space of a portable, the Studio 44 bridges the gap when a standard machine would be uneconomical and a personal portable unsuitable. What I think they meant by that is that the Studio 44 is not quite as big as a standard typewriter, a desktop typewriter. It's also not quite as small as a portable typewriter. You can see it sitting right here next to the Olympia SM3. This Olivetti Studio 44 has the Olivetti Underwood branding, and that is because in 1965 the two companies had merged. It is still, however, clearly an Olivetti design. You can see here that the kind of patented Olivetti swing-out carriage return lever has this huge spatulate thing. On the other typewriters it's a little bit smaller, it's basically the same concept, but on the Olivetti Studio 44 it's massive and it feels really good when you throw that carriage. So another feature of the Studio 44 that you might find appealing. It's a little bit deeper in terms of the dimensions. You can see that it kind of goes further back, without question deeper than the Olivetti Lettera 32 and Olivetti Lettera 22. Here is a typing sample from the Olivetti Studio 44. My machine is chambered in Elite, so you're going to get 12 characters to an inch as opposed to Pica, which is 10 characters an inch. I like that on this machine. It seems to work well. Because of its size and its weight, it is not the ideal candidate to travel with. I do have a case for this. It's in my storage unit. It's hefty. You don't want to be going through an airport with it. For that, you'd want the Lettera 32 or 22, and I've traveled with those machines, both of them, no problems. The Studio 44 has a paper guide on the left-hand side right there. Neither the Olivetti Lettera 22 and Olivetti Lettera 32 have that. That's the only thing bad that I would ever say about an Olivetti Lettera 22 or Lettera 32, and frankly, it's not that big of a deal for me. If you're looking for an excellent, larger size typewriter that is going to be able to really take a pounding over the course of, say, your work on a novel, then you very much want to look into the Studio 44. Damn good machine. It's a workhorse. A couple things you want to keep in mind with all Olivetti machines. The spools are bespoke, meaning that Olivetti spools will only fit Olivetti typewriters and no other spool will fit that. So make sure when you purchase an Olivetti typewriter that it comes with an original set of spools. It should also have, you can see right there, these spool nuts that go on top of the spools and hold the spools down. Those have to be there in order for the spools to work. Yes, you can order them like on eBay or something like that, but you really want to have those there as part of the original purchase. For more information on that, I've done a video on typewriter ribbons and spools, and you can see that right here. Can you see it? It's up here someplace. So the question is, which Olivetti typewriter is the typewriter for you? I don't know. It depends on you. What are you doing with it? Are you typing a letter every now and then? Do you want to travel with it? Then go with the Olivetti Lettera 22 or go with the Olivetti Lettera 32. Do you not want to travel with it? Do you want this thing to sit on your desk, your writing table, and be there every morning when you wake up to record your thoughts? Well, you can use the Olivetti 32 or 22 for that, but you might, if you want a heftier machine, go with the Olivetti Studio 44. Bottom line, you're not going to go wrong with an Olivetti typewriter. You're just not. Thanks for watching. Please hit subscribe. It's somewhere around here. It really helps me out, and I appreciate your support as well as your questions. Leave them in the comments or get in touch with me some other way. You can always subscribe to my newsletter at createx3.com. I'm Damon DiMarco. Thanks for watching. Stay happy, stay healthy, and stay creative.